Hi guys, as you can see from the title, I'm doing clean girl, no foundation makeup look using all drugstore products. This has been one of the most requested video on my channel, but it took me a while to actually film it because it is so hard to find natural looking, neutral color products from drugstore brands. Whether it's a coverage, pigment, or even like limited shade range. Another tricky thing about drugstore products is you cannot test any products, so you end up buying wrong shades over and over again. I usually do more like a structured sit-down videos with a lot of editings, but this video will be very raw, no fancy editing, very minimal edits, and we are filming in 4K right now, so you can see all the details so that you can actually see how each product works and shows on my skin. And obviously I have a lot of good product recommendations from drugstore. Even though it was really hard to find the perfect product, like natural looking products, I finally found the ones, so I'm so excited to share all this. This is gonna be a very long video, so grab a drink, or you can actually do makeup while watching this video because it's gonna be pretty the same speed as you do your makeup. So without further ado, let's get started. Luckily, I didn't get good sleep last night, so that's why I have these little random pimples here and there, especially on my front cheek area. And I have this big hyperpigmentation, so my skin now is perfect to show you guys how to cover all of this without using foundation. First step of makeup, as always, I'm going to start with corrector. For corrector, I'm going to use this Catrice Under Eye Brightener. This is a shade Light Rose. It's very light pink color, and it's very creamy. And if I swatch the color a little bit on the back of my hands, you can see it blends so beautifully and it has a really decent amount of coverage as a corrector. So I'm gonna use this one to cover my under eye dark circle. This shade is actually a little bit too lighter than the corrector that I use, which is Bobbi Brown corrector in Biscuit, but I still find that it works to correct my under eye dark circles and brighten the area instantly, so it still does a job as a corrector. Using my finger, I'm gonna focus on the darkest area, which is right under the eyes, this area you can see, and I'm gonna gently tap the product. And with some leftover, I'm gonna apply onto my lids because it is pretty darker than the rest of my face. So this is before and this is after. You can see this area looks much brighter, whereas this looks much darker. So this is the power of corrector. And using the same color, I'm gonna apply around my lips area because it looks pretty darker than the rest of my face. If your lips areas are clean and bright, it's gonna make your lip makeup look more like clean, more complete, even though you didn't use any foundation for your makeup. So I just finished on this side. You can see how it makes such a huge difference. And I'm gonna apply it on the other side. So I done with the corrector and you can see my complexion looks much brighter. Even though I didn't use any foundation or concealer, like anything with good coverage, it still makes them look more fresh and more useful. If you are a person who doesn't like any foundation, even concealer, getting a good corrector is very important because it still makes a huge difference. So now moving on to concealer. For concealer, I'm gonna use this L'Oreal Infallible 24 Full Wear Concealer. This is the one I've been using more than like 4 years. Even though this one has really high full coverage, full matte finish, it's actually great for covering pores and spot concealing because of that thick, high coverage consistency. Whenever I do no makeup, no foundation makeup look, I don't really go for too natural looking or too hydrating type of concealer because I don't use a foundation. I need a good coverage from concealer. So I would go for high coverage concealer and use a really small amount or a very thin layer to get a good coverage instead of wearing a natural looking or just medium coverage foundation all over my face because I don't like the feeling of covering my face. That's why I chose this L'Oreal Infallible Concealer. So I'm gonna swatch this 4 different shades. So first one is 3, 4, 5, and I'm gonna swatch the color on this side to see which one is perfect. This is 3, 4, 5, and next I have this 3, 5, 0. And if I swatch the color, I feel like it still looks lighter than my natural skin. And we are moving on to this shade 3, 5, 5. And you can see it looks too yellow. The last shade is 3, 6, 0. Hope it's my perfect match. Actually, I want to test one more shade, a little bit darker than this. And this is 3, 6, 5. So I have all 5 shades. You can see that these 2 shades looks too light on my skin. And the third one was too yellow. This one, I think the 4th shade looks like a pretty good match. And if I blend the color, it looks very natural, and the last shade is too dark on my skin. So for me, this shade 360 is my perfect match. So I'm gonna remove all this color and gonna use this 360 shade. So first, I'm gonna use really thin layer of this concealer. Once I apply the product on the back of my hands, I like to warm up a little bit to make sure that I can get a really thin layer and also apply smoothly on my skin. First, I'm gonna focus on this like center of my face, a little bit on my dark circles, and like here a little bit, and my nose obviously because I have pretty like obvious pores on my nose, and a little bit like here. So I'm trying to focus on the center of my face. So using my fingers, I'm just gonna like gently tap, and you can see how it's a good match. And a little bit around my lip area. And we are going to cover my nose pores later, so we are focusing on the dark circles area and here first. You can see the little red pimples already covered with even small amount. And then I'm gonna finish off with on my forehead. So I finished applying concealer mostly on the center of my face except my nose. So I'm gonna show you how to cover my nose pores with concealer. So I'm gonna use the same concealer and take a little bit amount of concealer on the back of my hand first. So to cover any pores on your face, you need this type of buffing brush because your pores are empty. So you're gonna push the product into that pore. So you need this type of bristle, like very dense bristle, to push the product onto your pores. So you need this very dense, not the fluffy type of powdery brush. This very dense brush has a really good tension like this, and this one too. This is from Hourglass and this is from the ETUDE lab. This is what I got when I traveled to Korea, and this is for more like covering and layering the product when using foundation or concealer. Or if you don't have this type of buffing brush, you can use this cushion puff. This is a little dirty, but it's gonna also help you to cover your pores while like pushing the product into your pores. So you can decide by your preference, but for today I'm gonna show you more detailed techniques. So I'm gonna use this buffing brush. This is a brand called the ETUDE. It's layer cover face. So I'm gonna take a really small amount of this concealer, and I try to get really thin layer of this concealer. And then you can see I have pretty obvious pores on my nose compared to the other part of my face. So I'm just gonna like push the product into my pores. And to finish it off, I'm gonna use the leftover product, and using my fingers again, I'm just gonna push the product into my pores again and blend a little bit. So this is before and this is after. You can see my pores look blurry already just by using only just concealer. I didn't use any primer, just using good matte high coverage concealer is enough to cover your pores with the right tools. So this is how to cover your nose pores using only concealer. And on this side, I'm gonna show you how to cover these pores again using cushion puff. And I took a little bit of concealer again here and then spread the product thinly. And then using the cushion puff, I take the product a little bit to make sure, and then using the product, I just push the product into my pores like I did with a concealer brush. So I just finished filling my pores on this side as well, and you can see it looks much more blurry and it looks very smooth. So this is the final look. And it still looks very natural. So I've been using this technique for more than 6 or 7 years. All you need a good high coverage matte finish concealer, otherwise it's not gonna sit in your pores really well. If it's too like hydrating or too glowy, it's not gonna create a blurry look. So this was how to cover your nose pores. So now I'm gonna move on to spot concealing. Spot concealing is a technique where you spot the concealer with this type of small concealer brush. This is actually not a concealer brush, it's actually art brush. So you're supposed to paint with the brush, but a lot of Korean makeup artists find this brush is perfect to do like spot concealing. Ever since I got this brush, I only use this brush to do a spot concealing. And this is a brand called Hwahong brush 982 and the size is 1. This is just perfect size to do like little spot concealing like this. So again, take a bit of concealer on the back of your hands like this, and to do spot concealing, instead of getting a really thin layer, I try to go a little bit more than when I apply only center of my face. So I'm gonna take a decent amount of the product, and then as you can see, I have this very obvious hyperpigmentation here and little like red spots along my jawline. So I'm gonna focus on covering here. I have really small like red like pimple spots here, so I'm just trying to cover them. And I had little bumps here as well. So I've done with spot concealing, and as you can see, I did a lot of spot conceal because I have a lot of cover. And now instead of like blending right away, I'm gonna let it set for a few minutes so that I can get a higher coverage and it's gonna set better and last longer. So I'm gonna just wait for a few minutes and come back. So now a few minutes have passed, so I'm gonna blend the concealer. So to blend the concealer, instead of like blending all the way, I'm gonna blend the edges of the concealer like this, like you are sweeping the surface. And this way you can keep the spot where you want to cover exactly and still looks very natural because you're blending the edges to make it really smooth and seamless on your skin. So I just finished blending this side more on my chin area, and you can see it looks very natural but still cover my little like pimples and hyperpigmentation here. And to make it last longer, I'm gonna set with a powder, and I'm using this L'Oreal Infallible Blur-Fection powder. I was really impressed with this product quality because even though it's a drugstore, it's making your look very smooth but still in a natural way without drying off your skin. So I'm gonna use a really small amount of this powder, and then using this fluffy brush, I'm just gonna gently tap it. This is something you have to do right after blending concealer because it's gonna make the concealer last longer. So I'm just focusing this like big hyperpigmentation here, and you see it looks very blurry. So I'm gonna do the same techniques on this side as well. And like I did, very carefully, not like doing like harsh way, you're like working on the surface and with a really light hand. So I've just finished blending the concealer on this side, so I'm gonna put a powder right after. And this is after spot concealer and powder, and as you can see, it looks very natural but still covers perfectly. And I'm gonna do my forehead and come back. So I just finished spot concealer techniques and it took a while. You can see my skin looks very clean and it looks like I have nothing, any hyperpigmentation, any pimples on my face. But I didn't use the foundation, and still like some of this side on my face or this side like here. For bare face, I didn't do any foundation or concealer, so I just focus on the area where I need coverage, and that's the point about foundation-free makeup. So moving on to another concealer techniques. This is actually what I recently learned from other Korean makeup artists. I recently did that Betty makeup in Korea, and if you follow me on my Instagram or TikTok, you guys may have seen the look and the techniques, and it's gonna be uploaded on my channel probably next week or very soon. So what she did was covering this eye bags, because I have very deep or dark eye bags here, and she did cover this eye bags perfectly with using only concealer again. So I'm gonna show you how to cover these eye bags. First, you're gonna need a lighter shade of concealer. So I'm gonna use the shade 345, and it has really light shade. And with really small concealer brush again, you're gonna take a decent amount of the concealer. And then when you look like this way, you can see like really deep dark eye bags line like here. And we are gonna follow this line with the concealer and draw a really thin line. And then follow this line like this. And then I just draw the lines along my eye bags like this. And then I'm gonna wait for another few minutes to let it set and to increase more coverage. So I let it set this concealer a few minutes, and first I'm gonna clean up this concealer brush, flip for blending. And the brush is clean right now, so I'm gonna blend this bright concealer like I did for spot concealer. So I'm just blending the edges to make sure that I get the good coverage on the darkest line. And then to finish it up, gently tap. And this is after. You can see my eye bags are gone and it looks very natural. I just did only like line here along my darkest line, and then it's gone. So this is the best technique I ever learned from a makeup artist to cover these eye bags, because I used to struggle a lot to cover this and it got never perfect, but now it's perfect. So I'm just gonna do the same here. And do not try to go over until like here. It's gonna make your eyes smaller and unnatural. So you are gonna focus on this area where your eye bags are obvious. So I'm just gonna blend very gently. And then blend a little bit with fingers. And this is the final look. I done my base makeup using only concealer and a little bit of powder to mattify the area where I put concealer on, and now it's perfect. It looks still very natural, and my face is like still breathing without covering my face with foundation. So this is how to cover eye bags, random pimples, hyperpigmentation, redness with using only concealer. It took a lot of time because I tried to show you guys every little details and try to do a little bit more perfect look, but on a daily basis I don't do this really detailed, like trying to make everything perfect look, but maybe a little bit on here and my eye bags, because that's where I need the most coverage, and the rest of my face I would just leave it like bare face to keep it natural. So this is just examples of trying to make the perfect perfect look in effortless way. Now I'm moving on to eye makeup. For eye makeup, I'm gonna start with a little bit of translucent powder, and this is again double real infallible powder, and I'm gonna mattify the area where I'm gonna put a powder product on, such as on my eyelids, along my lower lash lines, and a little bit on my brows. So I'm gonna take a little bit powder and just gently tap the product. If your eyelids are oily and a little sticky, it's gonna make your eyeshadow look patchy and crease. So it's very important to create a smooth base on your lids as well as your eyebrow. I'm gonna put a little bit of powder along my lash lines. This is gonna prevent your eye makeup, eyeshadow, mascara from smudging. So it's very important to mattify along your lash lines. So now moving on to eyeshadow. For eyeshadow palette, I'm gonna use this e.l.f. palette. This is perfect tan eyeshadow in nude mood. I found that this is just perfect shade range for everyday makeup look because it's not too bright, not too dark, just perfect neutral shade ranges. So I'm gonna use this mid-tone brown shade all over my lids first, very lightly, and maybe I'm gonna do this a little bit darker brown shade to do like a fake liner technique. So first I'm gonna take this brown color and I'm gonna apply all over my lids first. And then with this help of flat brush, I'm gonna apply it along my lower lash lines. So I'm done with my eyeshadow. I think it's just perfect for everyday natural makeup look. It's just very natural looking brown color. So now moving on to eyeliner to finish on my look. And before doing my eyeliner, I always do lashes first because if you put liner before color your lashes, it's gonna smudge more easily. If you have Asian lashes, the lashes are more like downwards before you curl the lashes, and your eyeliner is gonna smudge more easily. And if you put the mascara on top, it's gonna clump more. So we are gonna lift that everything up. So first I am gonna use this lash techniques that I've been doing like 10 years I guess. So first I'm gonna hit the curl, but if you're a beginner in makeup, please don't use this technique. You can use hair dryer. It's gonna much safer instead of using the lighter, but this is like quick way and I've been doing like for a decade, so I'm so used to doing this. So this is really helpful to curl the lashes and last long instead of using the eyelash color without heating up. And before curling your lashes, make sure to clean them a little bit and then check the temperature, and then you can curl the lashes. And this is before and this is after. You can see it makes a huge difference. If you found that it curled too much or too overpowering, you can simply use this type of spoolie and then brush them to lose the curl a little bit. And it's gonna make the curl more natural. And then this is after losing the curl a little bit and it looks very natural. And then if you see on the side, the curls are really like this. And then I'm gonna put this mascara primer right away to hold the curl, otherwise it's gonna lose the curl. This is from ETUDE. I've been using this more than a decade, I'm pretty sure. So I'm gonna apply this mascara fixer or mascara primer to make sure the curl holds all day. Lastly, for my bottom lashes, I use this wooden stick technique. I don't recommend this anyone who's just starting doing their makeup, but I just want to show you how I like make my lower lashes more like wider, because if you see the bottom lashes on the side is more like this way, but we want to make sure that it opens a little bit like this, then it's gonna make my eyes look bigger and more wider. And first I'm gonna take this stick that I got from H Mart. They sell it for like $1 with 100 pieces, so I'm just gonna burn the stick a little bit until it got fire. And then it got heated up a little bit. Curl my lower lashes like this. I do a little bit this to lift them up so that I have more space between my upper lashes and lower lashes. So this is after all this lash technique and before. You can see that this eye looks wider and bigger compared to this side, so I'm gonna finish this side as well and come back. So I finished curling my lashes. You can see my eye looks bigger and wider, and now I'm moving on to eyeliner. For eyeliner, I'm gonna use this Maybelline Tattoo Studio gel pencil in bold brown. Whenever I do like no makeup look or any type of natural makeup look, I try to go for brown shade instead of black one when it comes to eyeliner color, because it makes it look softer, and especially when I pair that brown liner with brown eyeshadow color, it looks very natural. So I'm gonna use this brown shade, and since it's a gel pencil, it glides really smoothly. So I'm gonna use this eyeliner to tightline first. And tightlining is like you put the eyeliner on this waterline on your upper lashes, so it's gonna eye looks more defined and bigger instead of drawing the really thick line. And it works perfectly, especially if you have hooded eyes. So I'm going to tightline first, and when you do tightline, you're gonna look at the mirror like this and open your eyes a little bit bigger, like wider, and then you see there's a empty water lines, and then you're gonna draw the lines on there. It's gonna be really scary, but let me show you. So I just finished tightlining this side first, and you can see this side looks more defined compared to this side. So this is the reason why I tightlining always. You cannot see any lines like on my lids or anywhere, but it makes my eye looks much bigger and more defined. So I'm gonna finish tightlining this side as well. So I just finished tightlining, and I'm going to draw a really small wing eyeliner using the same eyeliner. I'm gonna follow this my natural eye shapes like this, and then it's really tiny wing eyeliner. So I just did a really tiny wing eyeliner, and it looks very natural. And if you want to make it more sophisticated, you can use this deep brown eyeshadow from the same palette and take this type of small flat brush, and you're gonna apply the eyeshadow along the lines and blend a little bit. And this is before blending, and this is after blending. And you can see the eyeliner looks smoother because I blend a little bit with the eyeshadow. And I prefer this type of smudge eyeliner look instead of like too obvious pen liner, because this side looks more natural. So, and also I'm gonna blend a little bit on the inner corner of my eyes. Then this will make the eye looks more bigger and more sophisticated. And I'm gonna do the same technique on this side and come back. And to finish up my eyeshadow look, I'm gonna use this darker brown color in between this mid-tone brown shade and really deep brown shades to deepen my lower lash lines. Take this type of really small flat brush again, and then I'm gonna apply the eyeshadow along this lower lash lines. I'm not gonna do all the way, I'm just focusing on the outer part. And then to make it more natural, you can blend with fingers. And then I'm gonna do this other side. And to make it look more connected, I'm gonna put a little bit on my eyeliner, like this side, closer to my lash lines, like this. Then it will create a more cohesive look. So this is after eyeshadow, eyeliner, and you can see it looks very natural but still make my eye looks bigger, defined, and very sophisticated. The thing about this eye makeup technique is using this type of eyeshadow palette, more like nudish, neutral color, that works perfectly for natural looking makeup, and using really small eyeshadow brushes. I'm gonna make another video about makeup brushes, but the tools are very important. To complete my eye makeup look, I'm gonna apply mascara. This is ETUDE Color Fix Mascara in 01. I traveled to Korea last month and I got my makeup done by 4 different makeup artists, and all the makeup artists I work with use this mascara. So I have to buy this product, and ever since I've been using only this mascara. It's just perfect for natural looking but still giving that long lash look. It doesn't clump at all and it makes my eyelashes longer and a little bit more volumized. So it's just perfect for everyday makeup look. So I'm just gonna apply this mascara all over my lashes. And you can see it looks very clean even though I'm putting like multiple layers. And this is before and after. And I'm gonna do on the side as well. And I'm gonna do on my lower lash lids. So I finished my eye makeup and I'm gonna do my brows now. And for my eyebrows, I'm gonna use this brow pencil from NYX. This is NYX micro brow pencil in gray because my hair color is just black, natural black. So I found that this type of gray color works perfectly to create that fake brow hair look instead of using that too light brown color. So I'm just gonna draw a little strokes on these like empty parts of my brows. So I'm gonna go really light hands like this and then filling my brows roughly. And what I love about this brow pencil is it's very natural looking. The pigment is not too strong, so even if you're a beginner in makeup, you're gonna still get a very natural look. And then after that, using this spoolie on the other side, you can make it more natural. And then this is before and this is after. You can see it looks more like filled, but still looks like my natural eyebrow color. So I'm just gonna do the same on the other side. And for eyebrow gel, I'm using this also from NYX. This is Brow Glue eyebrow gel. And this is just clear brow gel that just holds my eyebrows stay in place. So I'm just gonna like apply a little bit. I try to apply a really light layer and then using this spoolie, you can brush them up instead of like using the product too much. It's gonna make the look much more clean if you use brow gel and brush them up. And then I'm gonna do this other side. So now my brows are done. You can see it looks very natural. I did really light stroke using a very natural looking brow pencil that matches with my hair color, and also the a little bit natural brow gel to make my looks more clean. And this is the look. And now I'm moving on to contour and blush. For contour, I found these two contour duo stick. This is from Essence and there are 2 different colors. And I'm gonna try this shade in light, and this side it has very neutral contour slash bronzer in between color, and on this side it has this like very light shade to use as a highlighter. But I'm just gonna use this shade to contour my face. Especially if you're a beginner in makeup, I think it is better to choose cream product because you can apply and blend really easily with just using your fingers, and if you mess up you can just remove with your fingers as well. So I'm gonna draw a little stroke all of my perimeter of my face and a little bit here, and then a little bit on my chin area, and also to this side as well, and then do a little bit on my nose area like this. And I'm just gonna blend with my fingers. And when you blend your chin, like under your chin, try not to go over like front area, more like here to create a very natural shadow. And then blend very naturally with your fingers. And if you find that it looks too much or too patchy, you can just remove with your empty hands like this. And then it will be more natural. So now I'm done with my contour, and you can see it looks very natural, and since I use cream product, it was very easy to work with. So next I'm moving on to my most favorite part, blush. The blush I'm using is this Burt Beige Aglow Lip and Cheek Stick in Suez scents. This is like perfect neutral blush shade that inside is more like a glowy finish. The outside is just blush color, and when I swatch a little bit on the back of my hands, you can see it looks very natural looking sheer glow blush that works perfect for everyday like natural makeup look. So I'm using this cream stick blush for today. Instead of applying the blush directly on my cheeks, I'm just gonna use my fingers to apply because I don't want to ruin the concealer that I apply. So just melting the cream product with my fingers until you have like enough product on your fingers like this, and then tap the product, like warm up the product a little bit. And then I'm trying to focus on the center of my face, like here. And it's very creamy, and you can see the pigment is very natural. So I can just put multiple layers if I want more color. I just finished applying the blush here, and you can see it looks very natural, very dewy, perfect neutral color. So I'm gonna do the same technique on the other side. So I just finished my blush, and you can see it looks exactly like this color, perfect neutral color, very natural and very glowy, and creates that dewy look. So I'm obsessed with this color. So now moving on to lips. For lips, I'm gonna start with lip liner. Since last year, I never skipped doing lip liner before applying lip gloss or lipstick because I saw the huge difference, and it looks more like complete when I apply my lip liners or evening out my natural lip color. The outer part of my lips looks a little bit darker, especially on my upper lips, whereas this like inside of my lips looks lighter. So if I like even out that uneven lip color and then put the lip gloss on top, it looks so much like prettier and more like sophisticated. So I've been doing like lip liners and lip gloss combo for like 1.5 years. I'm gonna show you how I do that techniques nowadays. First, I'm gonna use this NYX lip liner in Nude Beige. I feel like NYX has the best lip products when it comes to lip liner, lip matte, and I used to use this soft matte lip cream for like at least 2 years when I was in the UK because the color is so pretty and it makes my lips so soft, very smooth, blurry, and this lip liner is just the best affordable lip liner ever. And I use the shade Nude Beige, and if I swatch the color, it's more like a nudish color that works perfectly to even out my like lip color a little bit here. So I'm gonna do a lip liner to create a clean base first. So first I'm just like following my natural lip line. And then I blend with my fingers to make it look more natural. And after blending, you can see my lips color looks much more even and more clean. And the color looks very natural, very nudish pink color. I want to add more definition on my lips, so I'm gonna use a little bit darker shade. This is the same lip pencil in Nude Truffle. So this is Nude Beige color, and this is Nude Truffle. You can see it looks a little bit darker, more brownish color. That's like perfect to define your lips. And I'm gonna focus more on this center of my lips. So first I'm gonna do a little bit here. a little bit on my cute bit bow. And then blend with my fingers, and you can see it adds more definition to my lips, and my lips looks more sculpted. So I've been using more like 2 shades of lip liners to make my lips more sculpted, and when I put the lip gloss on top, it looks much more like defined rather than just putting lip gloss without using any lip liner. For lip gloss, I'm gonna use this Hard Candy lip oil. This looks very scary at first, but when I swatch it on the back of my hands, it's just almost like a clear gloss with a bit of pink color. So this is gonna be perfect to match with the color of my blush because there's a little bit more pinker than my lip color. So if I add more pink color on my lips, it's gonna match more. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this lip gloss because I don't want to make it too pinkish. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on the mostly center of my lips. And just blend with my fingers to look more natural. So this is my clean girl makeup look without foundation, drugstore version. I hope you guys find it very helpful. I love how it turns out so natural and the colors are not too overpowering, even though there are very limited options when it comes to shade range, whether it's a corrector, concealer, blush, but I try to find the perfect shade that matches with my skin tone, especially blush, like neutral color. As I said earlier, the key to do a no makeup look or natural makeup look is using the right tools, more like small brushes to like do spot concealing or draw a really small lines for your eyeliner so that you can create a more sophisticated look. Please let me know if you want me to create this type of very raw video with more like different looks or different techniques. And if you ever recreate this look, please tag me on Instagram. I'd love to know how you achieve this look. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye!